Trigger warning for mentions of depression, anxiety, and abuse. Hi, I am a college student in Puerto Rico, and I've been living in an extremely unsafe and abusive housing situation for years. I have kept this quiet out of fear of contractual repercussions, but now that the contract is finally broken, I won't remain quiet any longer. When I first started college, it was hard to find an affordable place to live. Nothing really fit my budget, even with a part-time job. But eventually, I found one place. It was really good. The rent included water and electricity costs. It had furniture. It was near the university, which was great, since I don't have a car. And the price was honestly unmatched. It was half of the cheapest apartments I had found until then. The only downside was that I had to share the apartment with a bunch of people, which is a pretty big downside since I have really bad social anxiety, but I decided it was probably the best place I could find. This was one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. At first, everything was alright. Everyone in the apartment was nice and seemed to enjoy my presence there. I had fun talking and hanging out with them, but as time went on, the people living in the place showed some really dark colors. I'm going to list some of the experiences I went through in this place. They aren't in any particular order since they are all just really terrible. But I decided to go with this format to have a structure for my thoughts. I'm going to get the tamest one out of the way. The noise in the house was horrible, day and night. There was yelling, screaming, loud ass music, and overall just a lack of respect for the people trying to sleep in the neighborhood and inside the house. We got complaints all the time from our neighbors, and even the police showed up several times. It was honestly really embarrassing that they had to take time of their day to tell a bunch of grown men to not be loud at 3 a.m. on a random Tuesday. This severely damaged my sleep schedule. I wore earbuds to sleep, and I could still listen to them through the music or the background noise I had. It was the constant laughing and screaming. It was horrible. Waking up in the middle of the night to their voices. I begged them to stop several times, but I just got ignored or threatened. With time, their laugh became a trigger for my panic attacks, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's like whenever I heard it for an extended period of time, my body would just shut down, and I felt like I was in mortal danger. As time went on, I started to notice that a lot of my food was randomly disappearing. As I mentioned before, I'm not the wealthiest person, so I keep track of everything I buy because I tend to ration my food. Time and time again, I cook food for the week and it would just randomly disappear. It wasn't just what I prepped for the day, it was random food items that I had in my area in the fridge. And it wasn't just food either, it was soap, towels, even my medicine ones. I cut them a few times, but I just got told it wasn't a big deal, and since it was me versus practically all of them, I didn't stand a chance. It was my small boys against their loud ones. Even if I told the landlord or someone about it, they would most likely lie and make it my fault somehow. This one is gonna be a bit difficult to hear. This apartment lived people of ages 19 through 25 or so, which is normal, but it means that pretty much everyone there was an adult. You might be immature at this age, but you're still an adult. So it was a very big surprise when I woke up one day, I'm going to the bathroom to brush my teeth, and I see two grown-ass men getting a freaking lap dance from an underage woman in the kitchen. The apartment administrator, a 25-year-old man, and this other dude who was self-proclaimed Christian, age 23, were basically sharing a teenager right next to the kitchen. It was really strange. I was honestly really shaken by this fact. Sure, these two were particularly scummy, and I had heard them say some gross things about minors or freshmen in college, which is really weird. but to be dry humping one was kind of horrifying. And she stayed constantly in an apartment, practically living with us. I remember she used to stay in a room, and I could hear some strange noises. I'm not sure what was happening in there, but I want to think nothing really bad. I called them out on this behavior, but they they gave me some age of consent bullshit, which is what people like this usually say when they get cut up. They straight up didn't give a shit about me and the other people there that were also uncomfortable. There was this other day where I arrived home and I was really overstimulated. It was a long day and I was working in the electronics laboratory at my university. I arrived home and the place was a mess. It was super loud. There was high volume music and a lot of laughing. There was trash all over the place. I kind of asked them to lower their voice, but they just told me off, which was a very common occurrence. I was too tired to fight back, so I just walked away and entered the bathroom, the only room in the place where I had some level of privacy. I took off my clothes and turned on the shower to wash away the stress when suddenly I hear the bathroom door open and I see one of my housemates enter. I screamed my lungs out and told him to get out immediately, but he just laughed. Eventually he did leave, but the damage that he did to me was horrible. To this, how did the landlords react, you might be wondering. I did tell the landlords everything, practically every single thing that happened inside that wretched building, and they just straight up told me that I was making it up. And after giving them actual proof of the targeted abuse I was receiving in the house, they just ignored me. Later down the line, I found out that they had some favoritism for some of the people living there. I have proof that the landlords were hiding things under the rug to sort of cover for them. Not sure why that was happening. I hated the landlords so much. They always had a reason to not help me. I remember one of the guys living there brought a gun and drugs to the apartment. Things that not only are illegal, but they are strictly prohibitive in our contract. I was horrified, and I notified the landlords about this mess, but all they said to me was, not a problem, as long as he pays rent. They didn't really care. But they did tell me to not get the police involved, since it would be a bad look for them. Indirectly, I was told to keep my mouth shut, because as long as I was under their contract, they could find a reason to kick me to the streets. That's why I have been quiet for this long. I've been dealing with this shit for years, but the last few months have been especially difficult for me. This is why my content has slowed down so much the first half of the year. I'm not okay. My anxiety attacks have become more and more prominent, and living there had become unbearable. Thanks to this, my health has been steadily declining, and that's why in a few of the last videos I've been so sick. So what now? I am not under their contract anymore, but where would I live? I still have roughly a year left of college, and the other places I found have been really pricey. That's why I need your help. I can't afford to rent a place for my last year of college, even working part-time. Please, only if you can, consider donating to my Ko-fi. I have a link down below with all the information. I have set up a goal of which should be more than enough to help me finish this last year of college and also afford treatment for my overall health. I will still do commissions if you prefer to support me and get something in return, but they will take some time to be delivered. Supporting me ensures that I can finish my last year of college in an environment where I'm not in constant danger, and I can afford to have a degree and change my life in a meaningful way. Thanks again for your time. Again, don't feel bad if you can't donate. Just you watching this video or sharing it around, it does help. Until next time.